Rugby 2018 Round 1 sees us with 4 South African Conference teams. Bulls have the bye, but all the others are in action. It's going to be an interesting round while the Aussies and the Kiwis are still sitting it out playing pre-season. So game 1 has the Stormers up against the Jaguares in Cape Town. I think if you're a Stormers fan, or for the Stormers generally, it's a must-win. It sounds stupid to be saying must-win this early in the season, but with the Sharks and the Lions also looking pretty strong, I think you need to win your home games, especially against less fancied opposition. Now, like I said, it's still early, so we got no idea how these teams are really going to go. Pre-season games are only a small indicator on how things are looking, and often teams who do well in preseason don't go on to achieve anything in the regular season, and kind of the same is true the other way around. So for the Stormers, they've gone for Willemse at 10, which is great news. He's that potential young star, and I want to see him really driving that back line, setting up the play, making those runs and using those feet that he's so good at stepping with. And, you know, things, when you look there, seem to be set up for success. For the Jaguares, you got to think that discipline's going to be a key factor, and it's the same old story with them. Speaking of discipline, they've picked Lavanini in the starting squad. Now, I do agree that they need that kind of big, because he is a big guy, in the second row. But if you're talking about discipline, I mean, his name comes to mind, but not in a good way. He's a pretty dirty player. Gets carded a lot, stupid penalties, just kind of brain explosion stuff that it's like, you didn't need to do that. So either the coach thinks that the physical side that he brings is enough to justify the penalties he's going to give away, or he thinks he's straightened him out enough that he's going to behave. I'm not convinced that it could be the latter. Rule gets his first start for the Stormers in a competitive fixture. His defence is already under the spotlight, with good reason. Coach has said he's not really worried about it. If I'm the Jaguares coach, I'm definitely targeting Rule. But again, if I'm the Stormers coach, I'm setting up a system to minimise the effect of his kind of weakness on defence is going to have on the team. Much the way that the Reds used to manage Quade Cooper when he didn't tackle very much. The Stormers need to manage Rule, because although he can tear people up and get you some pretty sweet tries, sometimes when he's that guy who needs to make at least a partial tackle, he just doesn't do it. So yeah, like I said, Stormers need to win. Jaguares need to show us what they've got. Who comes out on top, I'm not going to pick, because early season tipping especially tipping's hard enough, but early season tipping is fraught with danger, because like I said, you never really know what's going to happen with the combinations and everything. Second game, so you got proper South African derby with the Lions and the Sharks. It's a replay of the quarterfinal last season, so that adds a bit of spice to the encounter. It's a new coach in Swiss de Brain on the Lions side, so we're curious to see how he's going to set the team up. They've only had one preseason game on the Lions side, so still a lot of unknowns, but the team itself is largely how you think it should be picked. There's not really any surprises there. I'm interested to see how Daimani goes. Young 20-year-old dynamic-looking Lucy. I'm hoping he gets a decent share of minutes. When he does come on, the stage of the game is going to be a key factor, because if the Lions are already looking comfortable, they've got like a more than 7-point lead, does he feel more comfortable, be himself, or if the game is still in the balance, does the coach hold back from bringing him on? Does he bring him on, look for that impact? How good is his composure? There's lots of questions. He's a potential a guy with a lot of potential anyway. So how he goes is going to be, well, it's going to be interesting to see. I'm going to be watching him pretty closely. The Sharks, well, Robert Dupree Jr. has had the benefit of having his dad at coach, I suppose, in that he's been picked at 10 ahead of Kerwin Bosch. Bosch only makes the bench. I don't really take the father-son thing into too much seriousness, but I think it does kind of show a little bit of the Sharks' hand that they're not going to be trying anything too fancy against the Lions. If you were going to go fancy, I think you would have gone Bosch ahead of Dupree. So Sharks are a good team to spoil what the Lions do. So it's a tough test for the Lions first up. But again, they still have to be favourites to win. You need to win your home games, especially, and pick up what results you can on the road. And in a derby game, you're wanting to keep any points you can away from those teams in your conference. So the Lions need to win it and preferably deny the Sharks that losing bonus point. I mean, the last time they played, they finished, was only 2 points in it, or 3. 2 points. The Lions kicked that penalty in the quarterfinal. But a quarterfinal at the end of the season compared to a first game opening round, not going to be the same because so many different new combinations and whatnot. It's not going to make for the same style of play. There's nothing, I mean, there's stuff to lose, but it's not kind of do or die fixture like a quarterfinal. So, yes, a few talking points. The Lions have got a really good recent record. Super15.com does a pretty good summary of their recent records. So the Stormers have never lost to the Jaguares from 2 games, but neither game has been a real blowout. And the Lions, I think overall, are not on the right side of the ledger against the Sharks, but in recent times it's been 6 in a row to the Lions. So they're definitely favourites. Oh, and I forgot to mention Mapimpi. His first game for the Sharks. Can he go in Rob Dupree's system? That's another question because it's going to be quite different from what he was playing with the Kings. Hoping he goes well. Hoping for a good round. I'm going to be getting up pretty early in the morning or late at night, whichever way you want to look at it, to see these games. Hopefully get a good sleep in on Sunday morning, provided my 2-year-old doesn't come banging on the door. But yeah, I'm excited to see how things go. Weird that it's only the South African teams to start with, but them's the breaks. We'll have to wait for the Aussies and the Kiwis next week. And yeah, let's get Super Rugby started. Let me know who you think is going to win. Any selections you think are a bit odd, you can find them all online. All 4 teams have been announced. So yeah, see how things go. Alright guys, talk to you again soon.